Okay, I'm not going to number this video. This is just something on the side, a bit of dream interpretation. A lot of us have dreams. Some people don't. Some people wake up and it's like, oh, okay, new day. Some of us, when I wake up, I try and remember the dreams, or it's like I'll half wake up and it's like, okay, let me just make a little voice note about my dream. And because the dream is the subconscious mind creating a movie, basically. Or it could be something spiritual, it could be something multiverse, or another dimension, or God. But, you know, I write the dreams down, or I make a note about the dream, and I think, what's this dream telling me? What's this dream telling me? And over the last sort of few years, I get this dream where life is going good, but if I put my bag down, someone will nick it, right? You know, whether I'm at a hotel or whether I've moved to a new city, you know, I put stuff down, you know, I make, and obviously the bag represents building a foundation, or this is your stuff, this is you, you know. And somebody always comes along and nicks the bag. You know, in last night's stream, you know, I could almost see it coming. So I had my bag and everyone was saying, oh yeah, just put your bag over there. And I literally just turned around for half a second, you know, to talk to, and then I looked back, yep, somebody's nicked the bag. Somebody's nicked the bag, you know. And another dream that I had more sort of years ago was this aeroplane. I was in this in this fighter plane. It was something like a sort of Concorde, something like a Blackbird, a really impressive plane. But, you know, the underneath of the plane, bits were just falling off of this plane, right? And it's like the wheels would just fall away, and then part of the undercarriage would just fall away. And I'm sort of trying to hold on to this plane, you know, where, you know, it's all kind of falling apart. And recently I actually watched a pop video, Tame Impala, Let It Happen. There's this guy who's this sort of businessman, and he's running around doing his business, and he keeps getting these sort of, I don't know, attacks, you know, and he falls over, and he's in this plane, and, you know, he's feeling the stress of life, and then he sort of gets raptured, you know. And I think more and more people, you know, are feeling that, hang on a minute, civilization isn't getting better. We're not getting more prosperous, you know, or even just stable life. You know, inflation, COVID created inflation, Ukraine created inflation, Donald Trump's illegal war in Iran created inflation. And the thing is, you can't turn it back. So if you're somebody in your 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, and you're building your pension pot, and you just think, well, I've got this pension, right? I've got this money set aside, but inflation, food inflation at, I don't know, 20, 30% a year, your pension will be worthless. You imagined in your 40s and 50s, when you looked at the numbers of your pension going up, that it's like, oh yeah, I've got loads. I mean, for some of us who, yeah, I mean, albeit I haven't worked since 2008, but, you know, it's like if you've got old money, old money that you earned 20 years ago, inflation eats it up, and that is the plane falling to pieces. And we know this stuff. So let's say somebody's saved up 100 grand, and you think, whoa, 100 grand, you know, that's a nice amount of money, right? But, you know, what would you need 20 years later, right? You've got a pension pot, you've got 100 grand in, you're not going to put any more in, right? Let's times it by inflation at 8%, right, per year, right? You think, imagine what you can get now for 100 grand today. And let's imagine how much it will cost you, I don't know, 20 years from now. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's say 21, right? So imagine in your mind that you've put some money aside and you've saved some money, you've got 100 grand, you think, oh, I'll go some nice holidays, I could go 10 holidays maybe, or, you know, a new car, some other things, and a whole load of stuff, right? But when you actually get round to wanting to buy those things, they're going to cost you $500,000, right? They're going to cost you $500,000. So that's 5 times more. So if you think of your life now, if you're on an average wage, right, and you're earning, I don't know, 35 grand a year, right, times that, and you're just about keeping your head over water, right, 20 years from now, you'll have to be earning 5 times that, 175 grand a year, right? So what's the fucking point in putting money aside? It doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, people, they put their pensions and they say, oh yeah, stock market's doing well, the numbers are up, you know, it's up 20%. But if the price of goods has gone up 30% to make the stock market go up 20%, you're 10% down, roughly. You know, and this is the plane that is falling apart. You know, you're in this plane over a desert, 30,000 feet up or whatever, 50,000 feet up. It's a fast jet, right? And there's a noise and the wheels fall off and they disappear under you. And then there's a gap in the undercarriage and you can see the desert below you. You know, and you think, fuck this, I don't feel very secure in this plane anymore. The wheels have fallen away and there's bits of the undercarriage coming off. And, you know, then parts of the wings or an engine falls off. You know, you think, I don't know, I'm bloody going to make it. But what is it telling you? What is it telling? It's telling you that one day you will grow old and die, and you fantasize that you're going to be on a cruise ship in the Mediterranean, but actually you're going to be in a care home having Alzheimer's, and you won't even know who you are. You know, one of my best friends, that's happened to his dad. His dad was very successful, big pension pot, you know, house, you know, all of that. But what good is that for him? You know, the things are, because of greed, you know, that's where you get inflation because of greed. That's why you get inflation. But in the UK, we've got so many of these people who've come from God knows where, and they don't know the lesson of greed. They haven't been taught that if you're greedy and you work harder, you are actually going to destroy the system through creating inflation. You know, so, you know, and it makes people even more insecure. Oh, I have to be a billionaire then instead of a millionaire. You know, you look at sort of prizes on the lottery and you think, yeah, well, when the national lottery started, a few million quid, yeah. But that was like, God knows, 30 years ago, right? So £1 million 30 years ago was a lot of money. £1 million now, you know, it's a hell of a lot less. It's 5 times less, right? You win £1 million now, it's like winning 200 grand, you know, 30 odd years ago, kind of thing. And nobody knows how the markets are going to perform. Nobody knows. I mean, you would have bought Apple stock years and years ago if you knew Apple were going to be what they are. You would have bought Bitcoin if you knew it was going to go to $100,000. But now we see the system that is a lie. It's all starting to fall apart. You know, and there's people who they work really hard just to survive. That's no fucking kind of life, just surviving. Just existing, just surviving, that's no fucking kind of life. You're watching the sun come up, watching the sun go down, it's another day. You're still poor. Or you look into the future and you know you're going to be poor. All that money you save, it means nothing. It means nothing. And don't think even putting it into the next generation is going to break the loop. You know, people working harder than they've ever worked to get relatively less. I mean, when Donald Trump says more people are working than ever before, it's because there's more people in America than ever before. If you actually look at the percentage, it's gone down. And if you look at the percentage of, you know, the lifestyle now to the lifestyle maybe 30 years ago, it's down. Yes, there's more people working than they've ever been, and they're making more money than they've ever been, but you're not including inflation into that. You're not considering that, hang on a minute, you could buy a cup of coffee for a quarter, a literal quarter, rather than $7. You know, he's very good at lying to people, Donald Trump, isn't he? Oh, there's more people working than ever, they're making more money than ever. Yeah, but things are more expensive than ever. And things are more expensive than ever, more than the gain, you know, because of greed. So he just bullshits people, and he bullshits himself, and he believes his own lies. But the system is on the way down. The system is falling apart. We can't afford the benefits system. We can't afford the healthcare service. We can't afford the military, because a plane that cost $2 million to make, they're selling it for $200 million. You know, kind of thing. It's greed. It's greed. It's greed of the people who aren't even working. I want more dole money. You know, I want benefits. I want to be eating at a restaurant once a week. I mean, I know somebody on the dole, they've got enough money to use a taxi, even though they've got a bus pass. Why don't you use the bus pass? Oh, I want to use a taxi. You shouldn't. Unemployed people should not be able to afford a taxi. You know, and they feel entitled to it. You know, it's like, fuck's sake. A normal person on a normal wage wouldn't buy a taxi. You know, they're so fucking expensive. But the system is falling apart. The people who run the system know it's falling apart, and they're just doing self-preservation. They're just milking what they can from a system that is falling apart. You know, in my dream, that is interpreted as, if I take my eyes off my bag for 1 second, some fucker's going to nick it. You know, you can't fucking trust anyone, you know. And then because you're in that depressed state of mind, it's very hard. You know, I want to start a business with a friend. We've been saying this for over 10 years that we're going to start a business and do something, but we never get round to it because we're so depressed and so traumatized, too much PTSD, you know, and there's no one there to help. There's no one. I would say that the best help you will get is from your friends, even though they're not qualified. They're qualified to be a friend. So treat your friends nice. Hold your tongue, even if you've got a friend who's a complete bastard. You know, I do believe in cutting off toxic people, but, you know, it is what it is. Good luck getting an appointment for free with a psychiatrist, because you don't have the money. You know, I mean, people, they've given years and years to becoming a psychiatrist or whatever, and nobody can afford to see them. Nobody can afford to see them. You know, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? The system just doesn't work, but it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. It will fail catastrophically, and then it will be welcome to the Great Tribulation.